What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mina Elias, aka the Egyptian Prescription, aka the Amazon Don, and I'm joined with Vincent Montero, aka Sir Tacos.
Yep.
Today we are going to be talking about Amazon PPC for Dummies. So Amazon PPC 101, we're going to cover the basics, cover the acronyms, why should you do PPC, all of that stuff. So this is a beginner video. If you're more advanced, you can skip this video, but if you are just starting out on your Amazon journey, these are things that you should really understand. Let's get started.
Yep.
What is Amazon PPC and what does PPC even stand for?
Pay per click. So people that are familiar with search engine marketing, they might be familiar with that term. And essentially, Amazon's a big search engine, guys. So if you want to advertise on it, you're paying per click. So that's what it stands for.
Pay for each click. So when you advertise and there's an ad and someone clicks on it, you pay money.
Exactly. So the way I explain it is if you go on Amazon and you're searching for something and you see that little box that says sponsored, that's a paid ad. People want to be seen for different kind of search terms, depending on what their product is. And that's one way to get seen on the Amazon search result page.
Okay, so this is basically, someone comes into Amazon, they type in a keyword, the search results open up, and there are some ads.
Right.
And that's your PPC.
Yep.
Now, what are all the different ad types on Amazon?
Yeah, sure.
Where can you find these ads?
If you don't look for it, you might miss it. But
that's why it's so good.
Which is why it's so good, especially in the search results page. But again, if you see the little word that says sponsored, it's in the search results. There's at the very, very top, right below the search bar, there's generally always an ad there.
There's actually two ads.
Yeah.
There's two. There's the DSP thin bar ad,
right?
Which DSP is demand side platform.
Sponsored display can get that too.
And sponsored display. We don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
But
that's a little bit more advanced. But there are lots of placements. Top stripe is what you're calling it. And then there's the left side vertical. And then there's
the first 4 search results.
Yep. And then there's always ads kind of in the middle of the page. And then there's ads now on the bottom of the page.
There's a video ad right in the
middle. Yeah. Sometimes 2, I've seen.
Yes, I've seen recently. 2. Then you click on the listing and you go inside and then you scroll down.
Then, so not only do you have ads on the search results, right, which is what you see after you type something in, once you actually click on a product, you're going to see ads on that product detail page or listing, as it's often called, as well. Amazon gives you a lot of different options for whenever you're shopping for something. So even if you've selected something, there's still other ads that might entice you away from the product that you just clicked on. So that kind of leads into why it's important to do PPC.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so to summarize, there's really 3 different campaign types within Amazon. And when you're new, you're only going to get access to one. It's just called sponsored products. That's the one you see kind of in the search results page and the strip of ads that you see actually on a listing as well. Then you've got sponsored display and sponsored brand. Again, you can only get those if you're brand registered. They're slightly more advanced. It's when you can do video. It's when you can do that top stripe that I just mentioned. So there is those 3 different types. And there's video as well, but that's considered a sponsored brand. But there's also sponsored display video as well.
Which they just launched recently.
Yes.
So sponsored product, in the search result, you click on a product, scroll down, and it's there. Sponsored brand, the headline search, the big image that's at the top of the search page, and then the video, and then sponsored display, which is like the strips, the ones on the sides, and then if you click on a product, they're like next to the buy box.
Yeah, they're really good placements once you start doing sponsored display below the buy box or the featured offers, now Amazon's trying to call it.
Okay, why should you run PPC?
Well, basically for the reason we just gave you guys, right? Because the ads are everywhere, right? So if you're going to spend all this time and money and energy to launch a product on Amazon, and especially if you're brand new, if you want that visibility, you're not going to get it if you're not well known yet. So especially if you're brand new, you want that for the visibility, right? And that's purely why you want it. Once you gain ground, once you have that visibility though, you don't want to lose ground. So you also still just have to maintain your PPC so that you're always in that customer journey. I've seen different stats. I don't know about you, but sometimes people take up to 2 weeks to make a purchase decision. So probably depending on the price of the product, but if you're
make it in 3 seconds, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
See, I don't. I take like an hour to look at things. If it's more expensive, I take longer, right? So again, everyone's shopping habits are different. So if you're not seen consistently in that whole shopper experience as they're figuring out what they want, they might forget about you. So it's important for both of those reasons.
Yeah, I think any business, there's 2 things that you need to do in that business. There's drive traffic and then convert that traffic. And so when you launch on Amazon, there's no way people are going to find you. You're in page 100. If someone types in your brand name, they're not even going to find you. But the using PPC allows you to show up initially. When you can't show up organically, you can spend money and say, hey, for this keyword electrolyte powder, I'm willing to spend $3 per click so I can show up in a higher position, which will allow people to see me and then click on me, and hopefully a certain percentage of those people convert.
Right. Now, really important, guys, what should you do before PPC?
Very
This
important.
is before we even get into anything we just talked about, you got to make sure you have an optimized listing. That means if your listing does not look as good or better than your closest competitor or a handful of them, then you might be just wasting your money. So PPC isn't supposed to create sales. Your listing creates sales, right? So if your listing isn't fully optimized, you might just be wasting your money. You might be getting data that might be skewed because had your page just been, your listing been a little bit more optimized, it might have converted better and you'd have different data. Yeah. So that's super important to understand. One of the things I look at when looking at a client's account is, what does your listing look like, right? And
because PPC can bring people to your listing. That's it.
PPC is the road that gets the shopper to your store. But if your store, when that shopper walks in,
and it's broken,
and the signs are all like the lights are flashing, and there's the smell, what are they going to do? They're not going to buy. They're going to click on the other shiny probably ad that's on your listing as well. So you got to always keep that in mind that there's always other sellers that are trying to take that shopper away. So you got to have that.
That's what I'm good. Doing. I'm advertising on my competitors' listings, especially the ones that have lower reviews than me or more recently launched or higher price, because I know that a shopper is going to be on there, scroll down and be like, oh, this one has better reviews. This one has a better price. Maybe I should buy this one.
So how many reviews should you have before you launch your PPC?
So I think you don't need any reviews when you launch PPC. If you have a better product, you have a better product. But you should have a review strategy. So from day one, you should be going and trying to get reviews from friends and family. I mean, this is against terms of service, but there's no way around it, right? I've never bought a product on Amazon that has no reviews. And I don't think I
have either. No.
And I don't think I've ever left a review voluntarily. I think you should have a really good review strategy. You should be getting reviews, and you should start PPC right off the bat from day one, because you need that traffic anyways.
Right.
And you're not going to know if you have a good listing or a bad listing until you start getting people into the listing. And then once you see, we had 50 people visit the listing and only one person bought the product, then I'm like, okay, cool. Now we know it's an issue. Mm-hmm. What if I cut my price down? What if I get more reviews? What if I change my main image so it's a little bit more attractive? Will that improve any of my conversion rates?
When I get asked that question, my answer is basically, if you're in a super, super highly competitive, like if you selected a product that has a lot of competition, first of all, I don't know why you did that. But if you did, probably need at least 10 reviews before you should do PPC. That's in my opinion. But if you've done your due diligence and your product is, there's competition, but it's not inundated. And if you're super lucky, you created something super brand new, right, that no one's ever seen before. In that case, definitely start your PPC right away, because the reviews aren't as much of a potential hindrance.
Yeah, and so let's talk about some of the acronyms because there's so many different acronyms. PPC, CTR, ACOS, TACOS, whatever, conversion rate, all of these things. So let's break them down one at a time. We already talked about PPC, pay-per-click.
Right.
What's the next one?
So there's all different kinds. So that are super important to track things. You want to make sure that you're looking at your click-through rates, your CTR, right?
What is the click-through rate? Let's break that down.
So the click-through rate is the number of times people will click on your ad based on how many impressions that it received. And an impression is when you do that little search and you see all the ads on the page, that's an impression. So it's not until you click on it, right? It becomes a click, and you have to pay for that. But you can calculate how many people viewed it versus how many people actually clicked on it. And that does tell you something. That might tell you maybe it's a price issue. Maybe the image is bad.
It's the desirability of the product.
Right.
100 people saw you, only one person wanted to click on you. Maybe that's an issue right there.
And then from there, there's the CVR, or conversion rate, and that's simply based on how many people actually clicked on your ad and then went to it. Like, did they convert? Right? Did they actually, after looking at your listing, did they make a purchase? And so that's super important, again, to gauge how well you're doing, how well your product looks.
I want to add a technicality here. So conversion rate is not based on the number of clicks, but it's based on the number of unique Amazon accounts that's coming to your listing, which is sessions. So sessions is the unique Amazon accounts that came into your listing. So Mina, I can type in electrolyte powder, find an ad, click on it, and then type in electrolyte supplement, find that same product in an ad, click on it. That's 2 clicks, but 1 session, because it's still me. Yeah. And so units sold divided by number of sessions, that's your unit session percentage, which we call on Amazon your conversion rate.
Your conversion rate. Yep, perfect. So what are the metrics?
ACOS, advertising cost of sale.
Right, which is?
So ACOS is your PPC spend divided by your PPC sales.
Right.
How much percent of your revenue has gone towards your advertising? So if you have a 10% ACOS, it means that you spent $10 and you made $100 in revenue. Mm-hmm. Now, the metric that we like more
is TACOS.
Total ACOS.
Total ACOS.
Which is your PPC spend divided by your total sales, which includes organic. And the reason that we like it more is because we know that PPC sales are not accurate. Amazon shows you, you spent $100 and you made $300 in PPC sales. Let's say you made $500 in organic sales. In reality, if you cut that PPC spend, you will lose your organic sales.
Right.
Which means, why are you even looking at PPC sales and organic sales separately if they're all affected by your ads?
I like to say that this is kind of a holistic view, and it's one of the reasons why I have a show previously called Tacos Tuesday, which is now Sir Tacos Tuesday. When you look at it holistically, your PPC, and this is another reason to do PPC. It does affect your organic sales, right? Because again, it's that visibility that I was talking about earlier. If you're not there consistently in the customer journey, in their shopper journey, then they're going to forget you potentially the next time they go and look to make the decision. So that's why it's super important. And that's why we do try to connect them whenever possible. And then beyond tacos, there's also ROAS. And ROAS is a standard metric actually in the advertising space. It's a metric I was used to seeing, and it's simply just the inverse of the ACoS. So you take the same exact numbers and you just flip them. It's always going to be a lower number based on that division, but it's definitely something that you should also probably keep a track of.
Yeah, so an example is if you spent $10 and made $50 in revenue, that's 50 divided by 10, you have a 5x ROAS, which tells you you're basically multiplying your money by 5 by advertising. And another metric that we like to also track and talk about is CPC, which is your cost per click. And this is something that you'll see in Campaign Manager. It's basically how much did you spend for that one click. So someone saw your ad, they clicked on it, you probably put a bid, and that bid is, say, I'm willing to spend $3 to make a sale. And so your cost per click could be $2.8, and someone saw your ad, clicked on it, and charged you $2.8. So that's your cost per click.
Right. So a question that I get asked a lot is, how much should you spend on your PPC? It's such an open-ended question, but I want to hear what you say to that.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a little bit of a detailed answer here. How much money should you spend on your ads? Obviously, the more money you spend, the better. What is PPC essentially? Well, PPC is driving traffic to the listing. And as you do that, you're getting all of this data on all of the different keywords. So you launched a bunch of campaigns with a bunch of different keywords. Some of those keywords got clicks, other ones didn't get clicks. Some got a lot of clicks with no sales, others got clicks with sales. So all of that is basically buying data.
Right.
The more money that you spend, the faster you buy the data. The faster you buy the data, the faster you can make decisions. So if you have a really good decision-making process for your advertising, you can buy data a lot faster. How much should you start with? From what I've seen, $100 a day is kind of the bare minimum.
Okay.
Under that, not really good. If you're in a very non-competitive niche, you could probably get away with $50 a day. Under 50, I really haven't seen any decent results. I don't even know why you're on Amazon under $50 a day. $100 a day is pretty standard, and it's enough to buy you data so you can actually make decisions. You end up spending $3,000 a month and maybe making $9,000 or $12,000 a month in revenue. Now, if you actually want to compete on Amazon, like I did, we recently launched a coffee brand, and the coffee space is very competitive. So we're spending $500 to $700 a day. Right off the bat. So that's kind of the range. Are you, a big brand that wants to compete? Are you a D2C brand that has a lot of money? Or, are you starting out, okay, maybe start with $100 a day, $3,000 a month, and you'll get going. What do you think?
My answer is a lot simpler. I just say expect to spend at least $5,000.
Oh, 5,000. Okay.
In a month.
Just 5,000. Yeah.
Because people do, they want like an answer. Like, well, how much? I'm like, expect
5,000.
Put away 5,000.
Yeah.
You might not spend it, but put it away. Because like you said, depending on the competitiveness of the product, when you first launch, you're just data collection. It costs money to get the data. Yeah. But that's when, we as PPC professionals can trim that down. Yeah. If we don't have that data, we can't trim it down. So that's why I just say 5K.
And another thing I want to add is when you're launching campaigns, so we talked about the $100 a day, kind of, or whatever, 5,000, right? So when you're launching campaigns, it's going to ask you, what do you want your daily budget for that campaign to be? And then inside of the campaigns, you have, different keywords, different bids.
Right.
So the daily budget, in my opinion, should be no less than 100. Now, that does not mean that you are going to spend all $100 per day. So if you have 20 campaigns with $100 daily budget, that is not going to be 20 times 100.
Sure.
You're going to be limited by what your bid is. So if you have a $0.1 bid, Amazon's going to be like, okay, who's everyone that's participating in the bids? All the competitors. You're at the bottom, so we're going to serve you to 5 people because your bid is so low. If you have a $5 bid, which is very high, then you're probably going to use up your budget immediately, and then it'll be 100 times 20. So if you want to control how much money you're spending, control it on a bid level. So have at least $100 a day, and then start with a low bid. And if you're not spending enough, increase it a little bit higher. But if you start with a low daily budget, like a $5, $10 a day,
Amazon's not going to look at you. So that's another reason to, again, figure out how much you think you're going to spend. Another thing I actually say too is look at your top keywords, right? You can do keyword research. There's helium-10.
Yeah.
You could even go into Amazon itself and put in some of the keywords. You'll see what
Helium-10 has now
bids are.
suggested the cost per click, right?
Exactly. So you can just look at that and calculate, okay, well, if I expect this kind of response, well, this is how much it's going to cost me, right? But, keep in mind, don't have the budgets low, but more importantly, like he's saying, is the bids, because ultimately that's what Amazon's going to be using.
You can always inch up the bids,
Right.
but if the budget's low, it's not going to spend.
Right.
And I want to end with an analogy of advertising, of PPC. And so if you're on a boat and you're fishing and you don't know what the fish want in terms of bait, your keywords are basically like the different baits.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start off by getting these baits or these different keywords, throwing them in the water. So now you have 10 in the water. You don't know which ones are going to work. So that's us running PPC. We don't know which keywords are converting, but we find out that 2 of the baits are working and 8 are not. So those ones have good ACOS or good ROAS. These other ones don't. They're spending money, not making sales. So we kill those and we keep the ones that are working. Then we launch 8 more. And so now we have 2 working and then another 2 that are working. So those are all converting profitably. We pull those 6 ones that are not converting profitably. Launch 6 more, keywords and so on. And so that is the process of advertising on Amazon, is launching different campaigns, different keywords, testing, getting the data.
Different placements.
Yeah, different placements. Once you have the data, you're like, okay, let's make a decision. This is a good keyword. This is a good bait. Let's keep it in. This is a bad keyword. It spent a lot of money, spent $10, $15, $20 and no
stop
sales.
using that bait.
Exactly. And that's basically Amazon PPC for Dummies simplified for you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.
And if you want to learn more, then make sure you join my monthly PPC AMA called Sir Tacos Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month. So make sure you're following us on social, got your email with us, and you'll have that information, including the links for that.
If you have any PPC questions, guys, please leave them in the comments below. We will respond to every single thing. Or you can email me or Vince at triviumco.com and just go to our website. Also, subscribe to the channel because we give all of our standard operating procedures and everything that you need to learn how to sell on Amazon or how to list on Amazon or how to grow or how to scale on Amazon. Everything kind of broken down. We pretty much have an entire SOP library on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed. There's going to be a lot more cool videos. If you're a beginner, there's going to be beginner videos. If you're advanced, there's going to be advanced videos. All right, guys, take it easy.